Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in, everyone who's managed to be on the Hangout or watching us on YouTube. It's been a bit of a gap since our last show and tell. A lot of us have been out of the office or working on other things, but the Good Pay team have been busy doing some user research visits and some analysis of that. And we're just going to update you on the things that have happened since the last show and tell. So I'm going to pass you over to Miriam Rains from the Good.UK Pay team, and she's going to run through a few slides talking about what her and her team have been doing.
Fantastic. Yes, good morning, everyone. Excited to give you a quick update. We'll do updates from the Pay team, and then the North East Links team will sort of give us a little wrap up at the end. What we wanted to update you all on was the research visits that we have been completing over the last, mostly over the last sprint and just prior to that. So first, who have we visited? We've done visits with 4 councils, Cherwell, Southwark, Barnsley and Cotswold District Council, which is one of the Publica run shared services and one of the partner local authorities. The ones that we'd picked were to make sure that we had a variety of type of council and also of income management system that we knew they were using. So Cherwell is using Capita and actually a little bit of Civica. Southwark is using SAP. Barnsley is an interesting one, have built their own income management system, which we thought was useful because they've sort of unpicked a bit of that process and rebuilt it to meet their own needs. And Cotswold District Council is using Civica. So we had quite a balance there. And we've also supplemented that with some additional calls and meetings. So basically to get some feedback on the product, what is and isn't working, to find out their decisions and how those decisions are made, and to understand some of the discovery work that they are also doing. So Hackney, for example, has done some of their own discovery work into their payments processes. Lincoln City Council, again, are looking at using Pay and integrating it with their own income management system. And we've also had, reasons why there's been some sort of difficulties and barriers to adopting Pay at Oxford City Council, and actually, how we could maybe in the future alleviate some of those. So we're factoring all of this information in alongside our research visits. When we did the research visits, we sort of set them up into 3 parts. We asked to interview and observe a finance officer actually doing some of the process of reconciliation. So just sitting and watching someone actually go through their day-to-day job of reconciling payments that come in with their income management system. So we've got, so we can actually see the tools that you use. Actually, it is with these things, you can get a lot of information by actually just watching someone do it. Whereas if you ask them, like, what are the problems? What are the difficulties? Sometimes you don't always get as clear an answer. And actually, it's really helpful for our team as well to sort of understand some of the difficulties and challenges sort of in that day-to-day function. And we saw quite a wide spread of somewhere it was a little bit easier to do that reconciliation, and where some of those processes were more automated, and some that were definitely a little bit trickier in working with more complex systems. And then we also spoke with the finance manager, so that's a bit more, a head of finance or someone who is more responsible for making some of the decisions around how the processes are run, and who might be more involved in actually making a decision about the type of products that are used, both in terms of payment platforms, so telephone or online payment providers, but also the income management system itself. And then we also wanted to talk to the digital IT applications managers, who are responsible for, building that product and making sure that the files get to the right place. So the type of questions we asked is sort of what I just covered there. What do they actually do? What is that process of reconciling payments? So if you know that you get payments from online or you get telephone payments, how do you actually make sure that they end up in the right place in the bank account, that they end up in the right place in the case management system, and that everything lines up so that you know how much you've got and that your bank statement matches up with your general ledger. We wanted to understand who was involved in that process, and we wanted to know how are the files getting to where they need to be, and if it's not, is it flat files? Is it, you know, CSV files? Is it, can they use a real-time API? What are the sort of technical constraints? What are the technical opportunities there that we can sort of help improve? But it was really led by a process of observation, primarily because we felt that was going to be the strongest way to understand the processes from the inside. We had a slightly different approach when we went to Barnsley because they were sort of showcasing their own in-house product, but we still wanted to make sure that we were shown things in action. And through that observation and conversation, we were trying to understand, you know, what is manual and what is automatic in these processes. Obviously, the more manual interventions you've got, you know, the more time that takes for the team, the more chance there are that something might go wrong. Where are the biggest sort of like pain points or time drains or stresses for a team? What are those main difficulties and barriers? You know, are there, is it actually sort of a technical thing? Is it a process thing? Is it the type of data that you're getting? Is it the type of systems that you're working with? And then ultimately understanding how the payment platforms interact with their income management system. So, you know, this is, you know, as we want to understand the whole process because we think that's really valuable. And by looking at everything from, you know, someone making a payment through it being reconciled in the general ledger, but actually there's probably a very specific part where we want to know about the type of files that go from that payment platform into the income management system for reconciliation. So we were also particularly focused on that, as that bit is where currently gov.uk Pay would sit most closely. We think there are other opportunities further down the line by understanding the whole process to improve our product. So now that we've completed all the research, what we're going through at the moment is a process of analysis. So yesterday we had all of our team sit with copies of the transcripts from each of the interviews that we did. We sat through, we all went through and highlighted each one, what we think were important points. And we broke those down into key themes. So that was understanding what is the process, understanding what are some of the barriers, understanding what sort of files are being involved at each point. So there were various different themes that we set up for that. And then we literally just sat in a circle, highlighted the right sort of the text. And when we finished with the transcript, we passed it on to the next person and picked up another one. So that we were all sharing, like getting a full understanding of everything that people said. And also we've all got our own sort of expertise and backgrounds that we're bringing to this analysis. So we have, you know, one of our senior developers, we have an interaction designer, we have a user researcher, we have the product manager, and we have myself who's been getting a lot of feedback from the local authorities. So we wanted to like bring that all to bear so we can, you know, find out some of the key points. And then our next session today is going to be a post-it note session where we go through the transcripts, we make post-its of the key points, and we start to group those under the key themes. Start seeing what is similar, what is different between the systems, where we're hearing the same thing again and again, where we've really observed actually there might be an opportunity for us, you know, to understand. But I guess really the difficulty for us is to keep this very focused on analysis of what we've seen and not trying to project too early what we think that would do, and try and keep recommendations very separate from that process of analysis, which is difficult when you've got a slightly more mature product and you're very excited about making some of these changes. But actually, it's going to be best if we sort of separate ourselves from that recommendations process as that first stage. But then what we will be doing later this week and next week, when we've done that analysis and we've understood what the lay of the land is to actually say, well, what do we recommend? What do we think that we as gov.uk Pay can do? What do we think that other local authorities can do? Are there any areas that we think need further research and discovery work? Is there anything that we think we can do now? Is there anything we think we can add to the roadmap? So that's what we will be focusing on over the next sort of week and a half in order to contribute those parts to the report. And I think that is my last slide. So any questions on that from anyone on the team?
No questions from me.
No.
No, that was really good. I'm just going to go on to a couple of bits that we've been involved in over the last couple of weeks. as you remember, Miriam, we went to Coventry as part of the MHCLG roadshow to run a session on what we were doing in this project and try and garner a bit more interest from other authorities. I think it's fair to say that we got some good interest from the authorities that came to see us. They were interested in what pay could be used for, what the benefits could be for them. They also gave us a bit of challenge about the time of year we're doing this project, being end of year for finance, which is a fair point. But I think we've done pretty well as it stands. We also tried to promote the survey, which we've written, which is to produce information for our business case. One of the outputs for the project is that we'll write a business case to show the benefits, potential financial benefits of using pay, any costs that could be saved, licensing costs, things like those. We've had 6 responses so far for the survey. We really appreciate those authorities who've actually taken that time to fill it in, because we know that it's not a quick, easy survey form, because we're talking about complex things, transaction information, things like that. So we've had some information about costs from some of our councils, some information about transaction volumes, and as Miriam said, the next steps really for that are to analyse what we've received. There is still time if anyone is able to fill that form in. We'd like to receive a few more responses, just to give a bit more weight to the findings we get from that survey. So yeah, the next thing to produce is the analysis of the research visits, and to start writing this business case, which will be the outputs really of the whole project. So that's our updates. I think it's quite a finish.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to add, I think to your point, everyone, you know, it is a difficult time of year. It's a very busy time of year, and we had such an incredibly hospitable and very helpful welcome at every local authority that we went to visit. So we really, really appreciate them taking, you know, the time out of their days to sort of talk us through all of that, and really sort of be like very honest and just sort of go through all of their sort of systems and processes with us. And it's been incredibly helpful. So there is, you know, I just want to get that one noted.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks everyone for watching. We're going to stop the broadcast now and tune in for the next one.